okay, I cave. I'm gonna talk about NMIXX, okay, their new EP and their new comeback, which is Love Me Like This. This is labeled their first real EP, even though technically it's not, because Admare and their last one were both technically EPs because they had 4 songs on them because they had instrumentals on them as well. So technically this isn't actually their first EP, it's their third one, but NMIXX's whole concept is switching up the song, right? Having 2 different sounds into one song and maybe switching that sound halfway up through the song. And this comeback doesn't actually really have that. Love Me Like This doesn't really have that like huge switch that we're used to from an OO or a Dice. Here's the thing, NMIXX on debut, people really hated them. Mainly because OO was just a bad song, and I still to this day think it is a very lackluster song. It's a song that has grown on me ever so slightly, just because the performance is really cool. I think the choreo is really cool and fun to watch. There's some like really difficult moves, but the song itself is just a mess, and Dice is better. It's better at pulling off that mixed concept, that mix pop, but it's not substantially better that makes me love the group anymore. I'm a Tank defender. I do like Tank, and I think Cool Your Rainbow was a good B-side for Dice as well. They dropped a Christmas song. Like, they've just been very underwhelming compared to a lot of the other rookie groups thus far. Like, NMIXX on debut, bro, they got bullied. Like, they weren't even made fun of online, bro. They got bullied online. To the point where when Jennie left the group, people actually speculated that she left the group because she couldn't handle the pressure from fans online and their constant, like, cyberbullying of the group. I want to say that's pure speculation, but I could see it because of how much shit they got for their first 2 songs. So I'm happy to see a lot of those people hopping off that hate train and actually liking this comeback and this EP. Now, they would drop a pre-release single that came out right before, which is called Young, Dumb, and Stupid, and that song, samples an infamous French nursery rhyme. The nursery rhyme is commonly known as Brother John in English. In French, it's this:
Frère Jacques.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. I didn't even remember the name of it. I just recognized it by how it sounded. And honestly, first listen, I hated this song. I straight up hated this song. Not even because it was like bubblegum cute K-pop. I don't really care. Like, go for it. But I just didn't like how the song sounded. And then I kept listening to it, and then it grew on me to the point where now I don't mind it. I'm indifferent to it, but there are some parts that I do genuinely like about it, and there are other parts that I find annoying. I think the bridge is fantastic, and I do like the second part of the chorus more than that first part of the chorus. Now, the main title track, comeback song for this EP is Love Me Like This, and honestly, it feels not as much like a title track song, and I think it's simply down to the fact that it came out so soon after their pre-release that this comeback it feels like it's already been happening. So now that this, title track of this EP drops, it's like, oh, I mean, cool, but, we already got Young, Dumb, and Stupid. But speaking of Love Me Like This, I really like this song. It doesn't really have the big switch that we're used to in NMIXX songs, and I see a lot of people saying they're disappointed because it doesn't. But I would rather not have a switch and the song itself just be a lot better, rather than have a switch and the song sounding messy like an OO and somewhat like a Dice. I think this is like a bouncy R&B song, very catchy compared to some of their previous songs. Like, their previous songs had catchy verses and catchy choruses, but this is like really catchy. I feel like that's the really defining trait of this song, is that very catchy chorus. And also that bridge with Haewon and Lily hitting some absolutely fantastic high notes. Really, everyone shines on the song with their vocals. NMIXX, this entire album proves that they are the most talented rookie group out there. They just haven't really been able to tap into that potential yet with their music. As for the music video, I find it to be pretty boring. I'm not gonna lie, there's not a lot going on here. A lot of the sets are pretty boring. I don't really understand the story that's going on, nor do I really care very much. The styling is really hit or miss for me. There's a lot of misses here, like that weird dress they put Haewon in. I just do not like that. But then there are like the tannish gray outfits that take a little bit of a darker approach compared to everything else that I liked a little bit more. I also really love that like deep synth they add onto the second half of that chorus. It adds just enough to help switch it up and make it feel refreshing. I think someone who really shined this comeback was Soyun. Like, she really stood out to me, and I really love the way she sings the chorus. I like it when she pitches her voice down. I think she has this like very pretty deep voice when she sings. Personally, this is my favorite comeback from them because I would rather take a song like this, which isn't really mix pop, but is just a good song, rather than taking an OO or a Dice that have good elements but are kind of just a mess musically. And that's not me necessarily hating on their older tracks. You know, OO and Dice have elements that I like Dice's switch up with the big wave part. That's awesome, I like that. But the transitions between a lot of their sounds in those songs sounds very messy. Mix pop is something for them so far that looks good on paper but hasn't really been done well in execution, and I like them going for a comeback like this that doesn't do it, so they can kind of just have a baseline level of good music to work from here on out. Now let's talk about some of these B-sides. I actually do really like most of these B-sides. I like all of them. My Gosh and Home are probably my two least favorite, and that's just because they take a back seat to the other ones, like Just Did It and Password to me are much better, but they're not bad songs by any means. If they're your favorites, I can see it. Vocally, they're great. To me, Just Did It is personally my favorite because of the chorus, bro. I fucking love the chorus. It sounds amazing.
So keep saying my name. 난 기적처럼 언제라도 너를 들을게. So keep saying your name. 넌 운명처럼 항상 나를 들을 수 있게. You won't feel it, I just did it. You won't hear it, I just did it. You won't see it, I just did it. I just did it.
It's a little repetitive. I can see why people maybe not like it because of how repetitive it is, but I love the chorus, and I love that final chorus too, where they add in that synth. It sounds great. Password is straight up a Red Velvet song. Like, this is the most Red Velvet out of all of these songs. I see a lot of people saying this whole EP, this whole album sounds very Red Velvet. I can definitely see where they're coming from, but out of all the songs, Password is like the most Red Velvet here.
What's your best word? 나밖에 없어. 난 지금 login into you. 너 떠오르잖아. What's your best word? 알고 싶어. 너에게로 접속하는 곳. Type it. 나뿐인 password.
But I think the reason a lot of these songs sound a lot better to me is because the songs are not dictating how the members sing, it's the other way around. A lot of the members singing are dictating how the production is going. I understand that a lot of this production was probably made before they sung the songs, so it's probably the other way around, but it feels like this happens on Password when they go into a drop and like Lily or Haewon is hitting a note, the beat follows their vocals instead of the other way around. It felt like in some of their previous tracks like OO that their vocals were trying to catch up to the production, and here it's the other way around, and I like that a lot more.
I may see the round like do. What's your best word? 나밖에 없어. 난 지금 login into you. 너 떠오르잖아. What's your best word? 알고 싶어. 너에게로 접속하는 곳.
A lot of these songs show off the talent of the members so much better than any of their previous songs because they ditch a lot of the mix pop concept. There are still songs on here that have elements of it, like Young Dumb Stupid has an element of it in that bridge section where they switch it up a little bit, but it's not like the main defining factor here in this EP. It doesn't feel like it. The issue with mix pop, in my opinion, is that you're trying to combine two sounds that normally don't sound good together. And the problem is that some members aren't going to be able to pull off different concepts within the same song as much as maybe other members. Like, the problem with OO is that song was purely shock value. I guarantee that they put that song out knowing it was going to piss a lot of people off because it didn't sound very good. It was elements of trap mixed together with pop, and it just did not work at all. The transitions were bad, both individual parts sounded fine for what they were worth, and the dance, the choreography was very cool, but it did not mesh together well, and everyone knew it didn't mesh together well, and I bet coming out of the studio they knew it didn't mesh together well, but they didn't care. It was for shock value. I do think that JYP could have handled NMIXX's debut better because they essentially threw NMIXX into the fire and said, hey, we know that this song is going to probably piss a lot of people off. You guys are just going to have to deal with it. And the issue is that NMIXX has been hyped up by JYP for a while now, and IVE just dropped their debut with 11 just a few months earlier, and it was amazing. And Kepler's debut wasn't fantastic, but OO just made everything else feel so much better. And NMIXX got bullied a lot online by everyone. So the problem with NMIXX is, compared to some of these other rookie groups, they are starting behind. Like, it's like if you started at a track meet and you're about to launch, and your shoe falls off and everyone else is going while you're trying to put your shoe back on. NMIXX has essentially started out behind everyone else. I do think if NMIXX is going to continue down this path with a very Red Velvet sound and kind of ditching a little bit of the mix pop, I think they can catch up to the rest of the competition relatively quick. And I think that they do have a very bright future because of how talented the members are. Like, I don't think it's much of a conversation that they have the most talented members of any rookie group, and that's coming from a New Jeans and an IVE stan. Like, I love those groups, but I mean, NMIXX outdoes them in talent. I also forgot to mention this, but I really like the EP art, like the album art. It's very like Billy to me. I like those kind of more ethereal concepts. Anyway, tell me what you think. I personally really like this EP, and I'm happy that they have come back and given us a good amount of good music that the community seems to like. So hopefully you guys can hop off their case for 5 seconds and stop bullying them. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a good day. I'll see you guys in the next one.